We're holding by the asterisk, where it says, "V'nechlekas gam kein la'arba madregas." So to recap, to very quickly recap, in the beginning of this perek, the Alter Rebbe brought down that which is brought down in the Sfarim, that tefillah, or a bracha b'lei kavana, that davening or a bracha without kavana, really the same is true about all other mitzvahs, is kaguf b'lei neshama, is a kaguf without a neshama. And although in the previous prakim we were talking at length about the idea of hamaisa hua ikar, how important, the main thing is the deed, and without the deed you haven't accomplished anything. Even when you're davening, when you're learning, that's why you have to be moitze b'sfasav, you have to articulate and you have to verbalize the davening and verbalize the words of Torah, because as we have in the Pirkei Avos of this week, Lei hamadrish hua ikar ela maisa, it's Perek Aleph of Pirkei Avos, the main thing is the maisa. And why is the maisa the main thing? Because it is only through the maisa, that is the nexus, that is the point of connection between us and Hashem, is when we do the mitzvah, the action mitzvah, and we make thereby a dir b'tachtonim, which is fulfilling Hashem's desire. At the same time, kavana is very important. And kavana, again, to reiterate, when we're using the word kavana over here, where it means specifically the ahava v'yira, the love of Hashem and the awe, the reverence, the fear of Hashem, which motivate the person to do a mitzvah. Why is the kavanah so important? The Alter Rebbe says, even though that whenever a person does a mitzvah, there is no halim v'hester. There is no hester param at all. This is Hashem being Hashem's ratzon is being revealed in this mitzvah. However, the more kavanah that there is in the mitzvah, the more spirituality that's infused in the mitzvah, the more begilui this ratzon elyon will be. Actually, to put it in different words, the greater quantity of Ratzon Elyon that could be nesgala, that could be revealed through this act. So in a physical act, Ratzon Elyon is revealed, but only a very small quantity of Ratzon Elyon, because a physical act is very limited in the amount that it can reveal. The more spirituality is added, the more kavanah is added to the act, the more of the Ratzon Elyon that can be revealed through this act. And Dr. Rebbe, as you mentioned earlier, in this world, creation is divided into 4 different kingdoms. There's Doimim, Tzemeach, Chayim, Medaber. Every single one of them has more energy, has more divine energy. What's interesting is that really you think into it, every single one of them has that which was before it, plus. In other words, there's Doimim, right? Tzemeach is Doimim plus
something else.
Plus the ability to grow. So that's extra chayis from Hashem. In other words, if you take, at the end of the day, if you cut off a tree from or a branch, so it becomes doimim. In other words, it's doimim, the same thing as a rock, but it has added in it the koyach hatzemech. Chai has in it doimim, right? Once it dies, also becomes doimim. It's tzemeach, it grows, but it has, in addition to that, it has also chai. It has also chayis, a life which is characterized by seichel and midas and desire and all those things. And a medaber, a human being, has all 3 plus the mila of being a human being, which is the mila of seichel. The same thing is also, the Alter Rebbe says, when it comes to mitzvahs, there's going to be doimim, tzemeach, chayim, medaber. They're not 4 different things. You can do a mitzvah on a level of doimim. You can do that same mitzvah, you can do it on a level of tzemeach. If you add some kavana, that same mitzvah now becomes on the level of chay. And if you do it with even a greater kavana, then that same mitzvah becomes on the level of a medaber. And the more spirituality we infuse in the mitzvah, the more of the Hashem's ratzon is being revealed through this mitzvah. The more this mitzvah shines and illuminates and is vibrant, and when someone sees it, the more Hashem is being revealed. Even though every mitzvah reveals Hashem, but the more spirituality you put into it, the more of Hashem's ratzon that is being revealed. And that is what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn the 4 madregas in mitzvahs. The 4 madregas, the doimim, the tzemeach, the chai, and the medaber, which there is within doing mitzvahs. So let's do this inside. Again, page Nun Aleph. Opposite of page 100, first word on the line where it says v'nechlekes. It's right after the asterisk. V'nechlekes gamkein la'arba madrigas. Just like this, in all of creation in Olam Haza is divided into 4 different categories of doimim, tzemei, chayim, medaber. The same thing is also mitzvahs. Also are divided into 4 categories. And as we spoke last time, it's not a coincidence, but that because everything here in this world is mishtalshel, everything here in this world comes from its root in kedusha, in Torah. So because there are 4 different levels and categories within mitzvahs, so therefore creation also is divided into 4 corresponding categories. Says the Alter Rebbe, ki guf ha-mitzvahs atzman, the actual body of the mitzvah, hein beis madrigas. There are two levels in body, and as we'll see soon, there are 2 levels in neshama. 2 levels in guf and 2 levels in neshama. And that's because in doimim, tzemeach, chayim, medaber, also you have this division. Doimim and tzemeach are both, we spoke about this last year, doimim and tzemeach are both bodies. Chayim, medaber are both neshamas. Meaning that when you look at a doimim, or you look at a tzemeach, even a plant, what you see is the body of you see the body. Now, even though the plant also, it grows, but what is its growth? Its ruchnius, in other words, its life consists of the fact that its body grows. See, even its life, even its neshama, is a very bodily type of life. What is its life? Is that its body doesn't stay in one size, its body constantly grows. So therefore, doimim and tzemeach are both primarily body type of creations. Chayim and medaber are both neshama creations. They're both creations of a person. The body is a tuffle by a person. The body is not the ikr by a person. When if I ask you to describe your friend, you're going to tell me whether he has freckles or not. In a human being, the body is not the main thing. The main thing is the midas, the personality, and the identity, which is spiritual. And even by an animal also. By an animal, what is its main thing? Is its desires, its personality. So therefore, chayim and medaber are more neshamadika types of creations. Although obviously, doimim and tzemeach have a neshama, and although obviously chayim and medaber have a guf. We're not talking. We don't mean that chayim and medaber is only a neshama and doimim and tzemeach is only a guf. But we're talking about primarily these are more body-centric creations, doimim and tzemeach, whereas chayim and medaber are more neshama type of creations. So therefore, in doing mitzvahs also, there can be 2 ways of doing a mitzvah in a body way, and there are 2 ways of infusing neshama into that body. What are the 2 body types of 2 types of body mitzvahs inside? When it comes to the guf, the body of mitzvahs, mamish, hin beis madregas, you have 2 levels. Shehein, and they are mitzvahs maisiyas mamish, the lowest level, which is doimim. What is a doimim mitzvah? Is an action mitzvah. An action mitzvah which is done without kavanah, that's a doimim mitzvah. Does it reveal Elokus? Does it reveal Hashem? No. Yes. Because there is no hester panim in mitzvahs. This is what we're saying again and again. There is no hester panim. But a very, very minimal amount of Ratzon Hashem, because a physical act is so limited in what it can reveal. However, when a person, let's say you go and you knock a mezuzah on your door, you're going to tell me that doesn't reveal Hashem and Hashem's Ratzon in this world?
It does.
Someone looks at you and says, what are you doing? Why aren't you eating a salami sandwich? Why are you knocking a piece of parchment on your door? That's because you're doing Hashem's Ratzon. So that's a gilui of Hashem's Ratzon. This act does not in any way hide its bittul to Hashem. Everything in this world hides its bittul to Hashem. Even a mitzvah on the level of doimim doesn't hide it. But how much does it reveal? It's a physical act. How much does a physical act reveal? Okay. So that is one level. That's the lowest level. That's a doimim mitzvah. Let's move on. And then there's mitzvahs atluyis b'dibur u'machshava. There are mitzvahs that their performance is through dibur and machshava. We're not talking about 2 different mitzvahs. There are mitzvahs that involve dibur and machshava. Kamei, for example, Talmud Torah, learning Torah, which learning Torah is associated with the mouth, Dibur, speaking, but also with the mind. You have to understanding what we're learning. And the same thing is a Krishma or Tefillah, that these mitzvahs, like saying Krishma or davening or Birchas Hamazon, V'shar brachas and all the other brachas, all of these are mitzvahs that are associated with both the mouth, with both speech and with machshava. So these mitzvahs are tzemeach. These mitzvahs are tzemeach. They're still body mitzvahs. They're still body mitzvahs. Why? Because, I mean, you'd say, why, if I'm learning Torah, I'm investing my mind in it, I'm understanding, I'm davening with kavana, that's still semech, that's still a body mitzvah. Why? Because what is the neshama? The neshama of a mitzvah is kavana, the ava v'yira, which is where the godliness really comes in. If you look at the neshama as the elokus, the godliness, the connection to Hashem, I could be learning Torah. Part of the body of the mitzvah of learning Torah is understanding what I'm saying. Part of the body of davening is understanding what I'm saying. The neshama, the motivation behind it, is the avas Hashem and yiras Hashem. So, if I do a speech and thought associated mitzvah, but without kavana, in other words, without the ava and yira, that's a tzemeach mitzvah. Which means that it reveals a little more of Hashem in this world. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's a more spiritual act. So, because it's a more spiritual act, so therefore, it's more. It has the ability to illuminate more and to radiate more of Hashem's ratzon in this world. When a person looks at it, there is more of Hashem being revealed over here. Again, Doimim doesn't hide anything, but it doesn't have the ability to reveal as much because the act is so physical and so limited. The more spiritual an act is, the more it can reveal. Just like very practically speaking, if you want to reveal your love to someone else, you can reveal your love through an action, or you can reveal it through speech. And where is the love going to be more revealed?
Action.
The action? No.
Speech.
In the speech.
But how
You're saying something else. Your love is proven more through action than through speech. That's true. I'm saying, where is it revealed? Where is it revealed? To put it in the gift you give, or in the card that you write with the words. The words are spiritual. They reveal more. They reveal more of the emotions. They reveal more, and thought is even more spiritual. So therefore, yeah. Let me just finish one again. So therefore, if a person learns Torah, says Zabracha, or davens, says Kriyishma, even if you have a mind the Pirush Amilos, you understand what you're saying, you're thinking, you're not out for lunch. But if there isn't the kavana of Lishma, L'Shem Shemayim, which is the avas, I'm doing it because I love Hashem and because I fear Hashem, that's a tzemeach mitzvah. It's nicer than the doimim mitzvah, nicer, it reveals more. The dira b'tachtoinim, Hashem's dira in this mitzvah is more revealed, but it's still, we're not there yet. Yes?
But how does machshava reveals the Ratzon Hashem? I can't read your mind. You have
what
revelation you're talking about?
We're not talking about revealing to someone else.
Oh, to yourself.
It's revealed in this world, in yourself, to yourself. Yeah, there's a place in this world where Hashem's Ratzon is shining more so than it would otherwise.
Even though no one can see that.
That's not the point. The point is that it's. When we say there was Gili Elokus in the Mishkan, the point wasn't whether someone was able to see it in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. There's a place in the world where Hashem isn't hidden. It's not about who can see it or who can't see it. In this act, in my mind right now, Hashem's Ratzon is being revealed. Yeah.
All these mitzvot we do, we really care with Somech, Domem. We try to do the mitzvah to be connected to Hashem. So really, it doesn't make any difference if it's Somech, it's Domem, it's Chai. I try my best to do whatever I can do to be connected to Hashem, and I hope I'm doing it right. So why the Rebbe here is giving us this four object to be connected to the mitzvah?
Let's keep on going, and by the time we finish the period, I think you'll understand. We're finishing it today. I'm not talking about in 3 weeks from now. I think that it'll become clear. Okay, let's move on.
We're up to now?
Now we're going to talk about, we're holding ukavanas ha-mitzvahs.
The first one.
And now we're going to move into Chai and Medaber. How do we take a mitzvah which is otherwise doimim and or tzemeach, and how do we infuse it with a neshama? And that's through kavana. But there are two different levels of kavana. And first we're going to start with the higher level of kavana. How do we take a mitzvah and make it into a medaber mitzvah? It says kavana sa mitzvah. When it comes to kavana, what is kavana? L'dafka b'yisbarach. Kavana means that when I'm doing a mitzvah, I have a mind to connect to Hashem. Shehi kineshama l'guf. That kavana is like the neshama to the guf of the mitzvah. Nechalekes gam kein l'shtei madreges. So kavana also is divided into two levels. Chai and medaber. K'moi shtei madreges on neshama, just like there are two levels of neshama. Shehein beguf hachumri, a neshama that gives life to a physical body. Shehein chai u'medaber. They're chai and medaber. Ki, because mi shedati yafa, someone who's an intellectual and has the ability ladas Hashem, to truly understand Hashem, obviously to the extent of one's ability, and to meditate in Hashem's greatness, and through that to give birth from this meditation and from this understanding, yira ilah b'moichei, a high level of yiras Hashem in the mind, v'avas Hashem, and a love of Hashem, b'chol ha'yimani shebeliboy, in the right side of the heart. Liyes nafshay, and this person arrives at a point where his soul is tzemei al Hashem, thirsty for Hashem, ledafka boy, and desiring to connect to Hashem and to cleave to Hashem. Ayidei kiyum ha'torah v'mitzvahs, through doing Torah and mitzvahs. Shehin amshachas va'aras eir ein seif baruch hu al nafshay. Because every time that we learn Torah, every time that we do a mitzvah, we are bringing down the Eir Ein Sof on our own soul, l'dafka boy. And this is how we connect to Him. So when a person has this kavana, ubekavana zu hu leimed, and because of this kavana, he learns umekayim mitzvahs and does mitzvahs. V'chein and also bekavana zu, with this kavana mispalel umevarech, he davens and he makes brachas. Harei kavana zu al derech mashal. This kavana is similar k'moi nishmas hamedaber, like the neshama of a human being, as opposed to the neshama of an animal. But before we get into why it's like the neshama of a human being, as opposed to the neshama of an animal, we just want to just point out once again how the Alter Rebbe, if he says very clearly that a person who has this kavana, meditate, understands the greatness of Hashem, meditate in the greatness of Hashem, and thereby was able to generate, a genuine midas, a genuine love for Hashem, and a genuine fear for Hashem. And then he continues, Ubi kavana zu, and with this kavana he learns and he davens and he does mitzvahs. Then it's like the neshama of a medaber. But if a person thinks about the greatness of Hashem and meditates in the greatness of Hashem, and he has love of Hashem and fear of Hashem, and doesn't use that as the motivation to do mitzvahs, then what does he or she have? Nothing. The value, again, this is something we've discussed many times, but once again, the value, Hamaisa wa Iker.
Yeah, without that,
without Maisa, there's nothing.
There's nothing, zero.
Without Kavana, there is something. Without Kavana, you have a mitzvah. If you do it, it's a mitzvah on the level of Daimim, a mitzvah on the level of Tzemeach. But a mitzvah you have, and you have a dir b'tachtainim. But without the mitzvah, you have nothing. All the love and all the fear and all the everything is nothing. And all the, the meditation.
Is there a mitzvah to love and fear Hashem?
There is. We'll get there.
Okay.
Next parak. Not really. Parak Mem, actually, to be more accurate. We'll talk all about that. Sorry? It's a mitzvah to me. Yes. So in other words, he's saying that why is it worthless if it's a mitzvah in and of itself? So I said Perik Mem, we'll talk about that. Right now we're in Perik Lamed Chas. So he's saying over here, he's going to say there's a neshama of a chai and a neshama of a medaber, neshama of an animal and a neshama of a human being. What is the difference, the primary difference between a human being and an animal? So he says over here, the primary difference is three lines from the top, from the bottom. Amidaber shehu bal seichel. What's unique about the human being is that it has seichel, ubichira, and free choice, ubedas yedaber, and speaks based on that seichel. Now, animals also have seichel. Would that be a fact? Anyone who has a pet knows that animals have seichel, and even if you don't have a pet, you probably you're aware of the fact that there are many animals that have seichel, and different animals have different levels of seichel. You have what they say, higher life forms and primates. They can what they're capable of doing with their seichel is pretty amazing. So, what does it mean that a human being has seichel? How does that make a human being unique?
It's more sophisticated.
So that's a quantity issue. Okay, that doesn't make us a different class. Just like a person who's more wise has a higher IQ isn't a different kingdom than a person who has a lower. It's just a quantity difference. There's a quality difference between human being and animals. Not just we have a few more IQ points over them. An animal has seichel, but it isn't controlled by its seichel. It's controlled by its instincts. It's controlled by its impulses. It's controlled by its nature. And it can't. And its seichel is there only for it to satisfy and to accomplish and to achieve that which it desires and its instincts and its impulses.
And it's limited also.
But its seichel can never override. Yeah, it's limited, but that's not the point over here. Again, and human beings also. Some people are smarter. Some people are less smart. Maybe the highest level primate is smarter than the lowest level human being. That's not the point. The point isn't how smart. The point is the point is the role that the intelligence plays. Not how intelligent, but the role the intelligence plays.
Serves the instinct.
Sorry, what?
Serving the instinct.
Right. So by the animal, the intelligence, on the very top of everything. There's a reason why. By the human being, the head is on top. The head symbolizes seichel, and the midas, which is in the heart, is below it, because that's the moyach shata alev. The mind rules over and controls the heart. But by the animal, it's on the same plane. If anything, the head is always looking down. The head is always down a little, and that's because by the animal, again, the seichel is not there in any way to override its impulses. It's impossible. So an animal, that's the teva of the animal is to be an achzari. The teva of an animal is to be cruel. There's nothing you can do about it. And therefore what?
Maybe you can train it.
And no, it can't. It can't. That's why, if you have seeing eye dogs. You ever saw someone walking around with a seeing eye crocodile? Why don't they use crocodiles? Because you have to pick an animal which is whose nature is amenable to that task that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, but even when you train it, because you train it with food, so understand it's going to get its instinct.
Right, but it can't override its instinct. That's the bottom line. As opposed to a human being can't come to court and after having done a crime can't say, "What do you want from me? My teva is to be an achzari. My teva is to be cruel." Okay, so that's your nature. So you can override what? You can override it. You have seichel. So that's why, as opposed to a oirev, which is the achzari, so it can't be blamed. And the same is the truth the other way around also. That an animal which has a teva, which is a rachman, for example, Chassidus is brought on a nesher, that an eagle has a teva of rachmanis. I'm not so familiar with eagles, but there are others. They say dolphins are very friendly and they help human beings, right? Or a dog is man's best friend, but it really doesn't get credit for it. It didn't choose to do this. It didn't have a choice. That's just its nature. It couldn't have done otherwise, other than the nature which it's trapped into. The human being seichel, which seichel is the definition of seichel is that it is abstract and objective, as opposed to midas, which are subjective. Seichel, which is objective, a person can understand something which goes against his nature, and that seichel can then control and overcome. So that's why he says over here that a medaber hu bal seichel, and what's the next thing he says is a bechira and has choice. An animal doesn't have choice. Why doesn't it have choice? Because Bechira is associated with Seichel. If you're controlled by Seichel, then you have free choice. You have the ability to override your nature and your impulses. But because an animal, even though it has Seichel, but the Seichel by it isn't primary, so therefore it doesn't have the capacity of Bechira. So therefore, what distinguishes the human being is the mind, is the Seichel. But again, not how intelligent the person is, but the function of the intelligence. In fact, interestingly, you can argue that what makes a human being human is not that it does more than the animal, but that it does less than the animal.
What do you mean by that?
Not that it has greater abilities and greater capacities, which is true, but that's not a that's not a qualitative difference. But the fact that the human being can choose to not do that which its nature tells it to do, can choose to override its impulses, delay a delayed reaction, or to delay gratification, or all these things. The animal, it has to do that which is its nature. The human being can say, I'm not doing. So what makes the human being special is his ability not to do. Not what? But primarily you might want to say, what makes you human is not what you do, but what you don't do. Interesting way of putting it. So therefore, if a person, the kavana in the mitzvah is a seichel dika kavana, meaning that you're doing a mitzvah. Why are you doing the mitzvah? Because you put your mind and heart into it, and it started in your mind. In other words, you thought you understand the greatness of Hashem. You meditated in the greatness of Hashem, and that meditation, and that understanding of Hashem's greatness, and the contemplating of Hashem's greatness, brought about the kavana, the ava, the yira. So that's a mitzvah which is on the level of a medaber, a human being, because it's a seichel dika mitzvah. It all began in the mind. It began with which is a uniquely human thing. Weiter. But 3 lines from the bottom of page Nun Aleph. But what about someone who is not an intellectual? So this person, and that says there are people like that. They're not big intellectuals, and their strength is not leida, understanding and grasping the greatness of Hashem. That's number one. And then these are people who have a difficult time with meditating. In other words, there's 2 things. Number one, their understanding is limited, and number 2, their capacity to meditate is limited. And by the way, sometimes you'll have one, not the other. Some people that they're very smart, but meditation is very difficult for them, and some people who the opposite. They're not Einsteins, but to meditate is something which is simpler for them. But here we're talking about a person who's deficient. It's hard for him to understand. It's hard for him or her to meditate, and therefore this person is unable to generate and to give birth to love, as a result of his understanding. So he cannot bring about ava bisgalos libay. He cannot bring about this love revealed in the heart. And also fear. This person has a very difficult time generating fear of Hashem b'moichay, fear of Hashem in his mind. Why? If you can't understand the greatness of Hashem, you can't spend time thinking about it, so where's the fear going to come from? And certainly this person has a difficult time coming up with a fear of Hashem in the heart. So what kind of kavanah can such a person have? So this is something that we discussed at length in chapters 18 through 25, going back to what we learned some time ago. In Prakim, from Perek, around the middle of Perek 14, and then 15, 16, 17, the Alter Rebbe spoke about the ideal way of serving Hashem, which is developing an understanding, a complex and sophisticated understanding of Hashem's greatness, and then meditating upon that, and thereby giving birth to midos, to love and fear, that type of kavanah. Then Perek Yudches, Alter Rebbe says, what about someone who's not equipped to do that? Someone who's not equipped to, this kind of understanding and this kind of meditation. So the Alter Rebbe gives a shortcut, and says And that is what's called the Ava Mesuteres. So last year, I had in mind I was going to finish the period. It didn't work. Happens very often. I don't manage to finish everything that I plan on teaching. Some teachers that they have exact plan, they know. By me, that has never worked by me. Having exact plans. So before that year, so I saw a news item which is very interesting. And this is already 4 weeks ago, so I'm trying to remember the details. But in Colombia, maybe some of you heard this. In Colombia, there's a country in South America called Colombia. South America or Latin America? Central America, somewhere. South America, okay. So there was this Jewish, TV anchor. Not from at all. And she resigned her job. Anyone heard this story over here? She resigned her job because the producer or someone over there asked her that she should cross herself during one of the stories. And it was some sort of gimmick. It wasn't even, from what appeared to me, it wasn't that she had to cross herself as a real demonstration of faith. It had to do something with the story. And she absolutely refused. And she quit her job because of that. And you wonder, it's not from, it's very, very clear. But by a Yid, there's no such thing. No such thing. Crossing yourself. And you think, what's the big deal? Imagine you're not from person. And you're asked to cross yourself.
Not really to demonstrate anything.
Big deal. It's not what I believe. But by a Yid, no. I'm a Yid. I don't do that. And where does that come from? So we learned in Tanya earlier on in Perikit Chasanah, there's the Ava Mesuteres. Ava Mesuteres means that every single Yid, the greatest desire that a Yid has is to connect to Hashem. Neir Hashem Nishma Sadam, every Yid's neshama is like a candle striving upwards, reaching upwards. And therefore, when a Yid is put to the ultimate test, on the Soyin Al Kiddush Hashem, the Yid chooses Hashem. Regardless of level of observance or frumkeit or knowledge or whatever. Why? Because if this love is something which is a product of our own work, our own understanding, then different people have different levels of love. But this is something which is across the board. Every single Yid has this love. And therefore every single Yid, that's the most important thing in the entire world is our relationship with Hashem, connection to Hashem, and ad kedei kach, we're willing to give up everything, even life itself, in order to maintain our connection to Hashem, that we are still Yidden. So in Prakim, and again in those chapters, chapters 18 through 25, the Rebbe develops this at length. The idea that this alone is enough for a Yid. This knowledge alone is enough to keep a Yid doing the right thing and doing all the mitzvahs and staying away from all the averos. Because when you remember, you take a moment when a person is faced with an asoyin, and asoyin for a small avera, whatever the avera might be, or you're lazy to do a small mitzvah, if there is such a thing, a small mitzvah or a small avera, and you think to yourself, the most important thing that to me, I have Ava Mesuteres. And therefore, my greatest priority, if you dig deep down within me, my deepest conviction, my deepest ideal, my deepest desire is to remain connected to Hashem. Which is why I'd give up my life not to worship Avodah Zarah. And now this small little stupid Avera, I'm going to do it and thereby sever my relationship with Hashem. I'm not doing that. So we could use the Ava Mesuteres to stay away from Averas. And also you think to yourself, I have a love for Hashem inside me. I want to be connected to Hashem. The way to connect Hashem is to doing mitzvahs. So therefore, a Yid can do all of Torah and all of mitzvahs by utilizing and recalling the Ava Mesuteres. Now, the Ava Mesuteres, that's not a product of the mind. It's not a product of the mind.
How do you
that's nature.
How do you rational? Ava Mesuteres is a non-rational thing. It's not. It's an instinct, so to speak.
That's why when a person uses. So 1 second. That's why when a person uses the kavana of the Ava Mesuteres to do a mitzvah, that is a mitzvah which is on the level of chai, not in the level of medaber. Because that's instinct, that's impulse, that's emotions, and not so much the seichel. So what we have over here is you have different levels. Okay, so you have the two basic levels are doim sameach, are mitzvahs without kavanah. Then you could take a mitzvah, any mitzvah, and say, if I'm infusing it also with, remember we said earlier, doim sameach chai medaber, each one has that which is before plus, right? The sameach is doim and sameach. The chai is doim sameach and chai. Medaber, right? So a mitzvah which is on the level of medaber, what does that mean? That means it has the doimim sameach, the chai, and the medaber. It has the body of the mitzvah. It has the emotions, the chai. It has the mind, which is the medaber. A mitzvah, if you're doing a mitzvah and you're only utilizing the ava misuteres, what's called the ava tivis, the natural love, so then you have the doimim. Right? And if it's a mitzvah that also involves words, whatever, you have the tzemech, and you have chai, you have the emotions. The ultimate mitzvah, obviously, is the medaber mitzvah. The medaber mitzvah is the one that involves everything. The Ratzon Hashem is being revealed through every single part of you, through your actions, through your speech, and through your heart, and through your mind, and every single which way, every part of you is being a vehicle for and revealing the Hashem's Ratzon, which is in this mitzvah. Let's do this inside. So again, what about a person who is somewhat handicapped in this area? They're not able to develop this love and fear of Hashem, an intellectual love and fear. When I say intellectual, I mean that it's a love and fear which is generated by the intellect. Love and fear is not intellectual, it's emotional. But I'm saying when you say intellectual love and fear, you mean a love and fear which is generated by what? Right? So if so, what is this person's kavanah shazecher that he or she recalls and awakens as ha'ava tivis, the natural love hamasuteres beliboy, which is hidden within his heart, umitzia, and this person reveals this hidden love mahelam v'hester alev, where it's hidden in the heart el agili, and reveals it b'mayach in the mind, al kapanim, at least in the mind. And that causes that the person's ratzon, which is within his mind, and also in the depths of the heart, is maskim u'misratza, agrees and desires biritzi gomer, completely desires be'emes lamiti, in truth, limser nafshi bepeil bamish al yichud Hashem. The person has a desire to be moitzer nefesh Kedushas Hashem, and totally connect in order to connect to Hashem, nafshi elikis, in order to connect to Hashem, one's neshama ulvasheha, and all of its garments ulkalan biyichudei v'achdusay, and to subsume them in Hashem's unity. Shehu, what is Hashem? What is that? Shehu ratzna elyin hamelubish b'talmud Torah v'kima mitzvahs kanal. You want to go on Mesiras Nefesh? You want to be totally subsumed in Hashem? Go do a mitzvah. That's what he's saying over here. Now, as you think into it, what's my greatest desire? Rabbi Kiva, right? He's being tortured and he's smiling. My whole life I'm waiting for Kiddush Hashem to become just totally subsumed in the oneness of Hashem. Doing a mitzvah, that's what it is. V'gam hayira klulaba. And this is not only love, but this is also fear. And that's why this woman didn't want to cross herself. Because even though that we don't talk about a yira misuteres, we talk about ava misuteres, the hidden love. But the hidden love means that I love Hashem so much, I want to be connected to Him, and that love automatically a byproduct of that love is that I'm fearful to do anything that can harm this relationship. The Kabbah Machuse, the Yira also is in it, which causes a person to accept Hashem's kingship, not to rebel and against Hashem chas v'shalom. And when a person uses a bekavana zu, when a person uses this kavana, which is again the ava misoteres, the ava tivis, and he uses this kavana to sur meirahu v'esetev, he stays away from averis and does mitzvahs, v'leimed, and he learns u'mispal, and he davens u'mevarach, and he davens bepirush hamilutz levadei. But he doesn't have a pulsating, vibrant love for Hashem. Ava Mesuteres means I'm remembering, right? To use an example. What?
What is it remembering? It's a part of him. It's not what to remember or reflect.
Let's say there's someone that you love very much, a child, a spouse, a friend, whatever it may be. wants to ride to the airport 4 o'clock in the morning. If you're like me, that's not easy. Right? So how do you get yourself to do it? So let's say it's someone who's a really, really close friend of yours. So one way is to sit and you think about how great that person is and how much, until your heart is just overflowing with love and you're like, oh, I want to do that, and and I'm dying to do that. That's amazing because you used your mind to generate a love. That's like the first level we spoke about. Another one is, let's say, for example, we're talking about a person's child. You say to yourself, my child, I love my child so much that there's nothing I wouldn't do for my child. I'd give up my life for my child. So I'm not going to take him to the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's ridiculous. So I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I take him to the airport. Now, when I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, is my heart pulsating with love? Am I doing it because I'm feeling this, overcome with this love and reverence and everything? No. But I'm remembering, recalling how much I love my son, even though I'm not feeling it right now. The avativis doesn't mean that I'm feeling the love.
It's not exposed, it's not on fire.
Right. That the first level of love that we're talking about, which is the one which is generated through the mind, he says very clearly, it's ava bisgalos libay. This love, avativis, doesn't have to be bisgalos libay. You notice they use the words al kolpanim. Where is it? 3 lines from the top. Elagili b'moyach al kolpanim. At least. It has to be at least in the mind. Is it possible for the avativus also to extend to the point that you feel it? Yeah, but it's not necessary. In other words, for the kavana to be considered chai, right, we're talking about the chai medaber, it's not necessary for it to reach that state of heart palpitation type love. It's enough that in your mind you say, oh, I have avativis, this is what I am, and therefore your mind and your heart, if you look at the words he uses over here, they're misratzim, they agree. The mind and the heart doesn't say that they're all eager and excited. They agree. Where's the words? He says, so the will, 3 or 4 lines from the top. Your mind maskim agrees umisratza. You understand? It's a different type of kavana, but even that's enough. Even that's enough. Ubikavana zu, where are we? Okay. Oh no. Hari Kavana Zu, we're holding by Hari Kavana Zu. The first one lines are Rechimu. 7 lines from the bottom of the Perek. Hari Kavana Zu al Derech Masol. So this Kavana, Kameinis Masachai, is like the neshama of an animal. She'ene Baal Seichel Ubechira. It's not a Baal Seichel Ubechira. Chol Mideisav. And all the midas of the animal, She'ene, what are the midas of an animal? It's naturally fearful of anything that can harm it. An animal naturally loves. It naturally desires and loves things that are desirable for it. So all these things to an animal are natural. Animals, they're not a product of the animal's understanding of what's correct and what's incorrect. The same thing is, by way of analogy, the natural ava and yira, which is hidden in the heart of all Yidden, it's natural to us. It's part of our DNA. The fact that a Yid has love for Hashem, this avim soteres, is something which is natural. It's the teva of our neshama, as we mentioned earlier. So what do we have over here? We have different levels of mitzvahs, and every mitzvah creates a dir b'tachtoinu, which means reveals Hashem over here. However, the more of yourself you invest in the mitzvah, and especially the more spiritual you invest in the mitzvah, so the more gilui there is, the more of the revelation of that unity, that Hashem, that Ratzon Hashem, which happened through the mitzvah.
I wasn't here the last 2 weeks. So what is the...
No one was here the last 2 weeks.
I mean the last 2 weeks before the...
Okay.
What was the point? So what's the point? So this level is a level of a behemoth, the way we explained it, right?
In Kedusha.
Yeah, so what's the point? So what's the Alter Rebbe trying to say? Therefore,
so first of all, when you're saying...
So on the Madrega of a Chai, let's say.
Right.
And therefore...
So first of all...
Categories.
In the next period, the Alter Rebbe is going to begin.
Explain the Malachim.
And he's going to say the Malachim also. That's why Malachim are called Chayis. So the level of a chai, we're not disparaging it, but it's not as high as the level of a medaber. We're trying, the Alter Rebbe here, the larger picture over here, is we're trying to establish what is the function of kavana and what is the kavana, what is the function of ma'aseh mitzvahs. So for a few prakim, we were very, very much hammering in the idea of le'amedrash wa ikra la ma'aseh, because Hashem wanted a dir b'tachtoinim, so therefore the tachlis is ma'aseh. And near, the Alter Rebbe is now giving us the other side of the coin, saying yes, even though the kavana of the creation of the world and everything is nafka and ma'aseh, but when you add kavana to the ma'aseh, and again that's very important, when you add the kavana to the ma'aseh, then you have a mitzvah which is so much more brilliant. The more you add, the more brilliant the mitzvah. And as we brought down, Hashem wants a dir b'tachtoinim, but He wants also it to be a lichtige dira. He wants it to be a brilliant, a light, an illuminated dira, and that illumination comes from the kavana. But again, the dira is the mitzvah, and without the mitzvah, you have no dira. But Hashem's will wasn't done, and that's why also interestingly, we now started the Sfiras Eimer period, and we're moving towards Matan Torah, and there's the famous question which we discussed on several occasions and given different answers to this. What really happened by Matan Torah? What was right now? We're counting down, eagerly awaiting Kabbalah Satira, and this is reminiscent of what happened some 33-something 100 years ago. And the question becomes, what were they looking forward to? Torah? We know that Chazal tell us that there was always yeshivas. In Mitzrayim there were yeshivas. There was the yeshiva of Shem Ve'ever, right? Yeah. Yaakov sent down Yehuda to start a yeshiva in Goshen. So Torah, they had Torah. What happened by Matan Torah? So, there are two answers. One answer, a nigladik answer, a very simple answer, is that at that time we became mitzvah v'oisa. Up until Matan Torah, we learned Torah. What actually happened the day of Vav Sivan is that we became commanded. Up until that point, Torah was optional, which is why Yaakov married 2 sisters, right, or 4 sisters, for whatever. Torah wasn't. It was optional. It was a hidur. And but after Matan Torah, we became mitzvah v'oisa. Mitzvah v'oisa, we became commanded, which is an amazing thing, and that increases our schar. But it's amazing for many reasons. That's one thing. Another thing that's brought down more in Sifri Chassidus and more in Sifri Kabbalah is that up until the time of Matan Torah, mitzvahs didn't have the ability to impact the physical. The Zohar tells us that Yaakov, we have a whole story about Yaakov with the sticks, with the sheep, right? That he took the sticks and he peeled the sticks. And you look in Torah and you want to go, well, how is this relevant to us? Says the Zohar, this is big secrets. And this was Yaakov's way of putting on tefillin. The secret of tefillin was in those sticks. Now, what did Yaakov do with those sticks after he finished them? Did he throw them into Shemes? Threw them in the garbage. What?
He had no kedusha.
They had no kedusha. Why? Because before the giving of the Torah, mitzvah, there wasn't the ability to be able to take something in this world and make it a davar shebekdusha. The only exception was the mitzvah of bris milah. Why? Because that was what commanded by Hashem. It wasn't optional. You see, the two things go hand in hand. By Matan Torah, because we came in mitzvah v'oisa, so now we have the ability now also to bring kedusha into the physical objects of this world. And that's why when Avram Avinu, when he wanted to make Eliezer swear, so he told him, Simla yad chatachas yirechi. He says, I want you to hold on, put your hand on my bris milah, which is a modern thing. He didn't have a sefer Torah. Avram Avinu, why did he have to hold it? But the answer was that because that was the only cheftzah shel kedusha, that was the only cheftzah shel mitzvah. And this, based on what we're learning over here, we're understanding this idea. The Hashem wanted a dir b'tachtoina. Dir b'tachtoina means that a mitzvah should be able to permeate this physical world and to bring kedusha into the physical world. And that's what a mitzvah is. When we do a mitzvah, a commandment, right, that was something which was mitzvah v'isa, then we connect to Hashem, we're commanded, and through that commandment, we can actually make a dir b'tachtoina. And Kol Zman, before Matan Torah, there was no mitzvah, there was no connection, there was no command, And there was no dir b'tachteinim. And that's what we were waiting for. Yidden were doing mitzvahs and learning Torah. But that we're talking about over here. What?
Why was there's a law to it? More than 1,000 years. What was the purpose of the creation of the world? Why Kodesh Baruch Hu waited so long to make a dir b'tachteinim?
You're very consistent. We spoke about this last time we were together. Have a good Shabbos, everyone. To be continued.
Yeah, but we didn't get the...
We'll do Mitzvah Shem next week. Perik Lamtes. What?